There are two Spanish interpreters on the line.
Just Lori Lux is on the line, Your Honor. I don't know if there is a second one on the line.
Well, it appears that we do have a second. What? They're gone. You need to close the red entry on Stewart. On not Stewart, on Chip.
Close it.
Yeah. I can't get into it.
Is it on yellow?
Yeah.
It's closer.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Judge Shade, and you are.
Can I go home?
No, say your name.
Michael Mega. Michael Mega. Who's that now?
Jail, we're pulling people out of order.
He is now housed, so I placed him with the housed inmates.
Helpful if you let us know.
That is still. Can I go home?
All right, Ms. Raga, I'm Judge Shayette.
Ugh.
And I have several things here for you. I have charges from June the 6th for criminal trespass at 13575 South Sonoyta Ranch Circle.
Yes.
I also have charges from earlier today for domestic violence assault, domestic violence disorderly conduct, domestic violence criminal damage, and disorderly conduct. Alleged occurred at 13488 South Sonoyta Ranch Circle.
All right. That's how much. Can I go home? Can I go home?
You gotta wait till you're done, okay?
You go home? Mm.
The judge is really get fine.
Is it?
Just hang in there.
Where's mother?
Your next court date is going to be on Friday, or excuse me, on Thursday at 8:30 in the morning in the Green Valley Justice Court. I'm going to release you on your signature and promise to appear, but no acts of domestic violence. You're not to have contact with your mother or your father. You're not to go back to their residence. You're not to go back to their residence or the neighboring residence where you were charged with going into their mailbox.
No.
You can go back once with law enforcement to get your belongings.
No.
All right. When you're released tonight, you might want to check in with the transition center right there outside the jail. They can help you find some housing and temporary housing and help you out. Okay?
Housing help me out.
Yes.
Help you out?
Mhm.
Or going housing. Get you.
Thank you, Mr. Rick.
Your Honor, we are back to the housed felonies now. This is Mr. Young.
Pardon me?
We are back to the felonies, the housed felony. That is just one. We have Mr. Young.
Right.
That's who we just.
Good evening. I'm Judge Shade, and you, sir, are
Shazamania.
Mr. Young, in complaint charging you with burglary, burglary, attempted theft of means of transportation, and possession of burglary tools. Appoint legal defender's office to represent you on these charges, and that either counsel wish to be heard further on conditions.
Yes, please, Judge. Mr. Young is already being held on multiple matters at the Pima County Jail. For those reasons, I don't know what the state's recommendation is. Is it a bond hold or?
I recommend
$5,000
$5,000.
bond.
Oh, okay. We just asked for a nominal $1,000 bond, Judge. Thank you.
All right, preliminary hearing date is going to be June 21st at 1:30. Bond is $2,500. You post the bond, you'll be in a position of pretrial services. You're not to have contact with the alleged victims, that's TUSD, and you're not to return to Ring County High School. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Yeah, it's just one more charge.
You're returning another charge?
Okay.
Your Honor, I believe the court will now handle misdemeanors. Can I come back in just a bit, please?
That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you, sir, are?
Michael Batson.
Mr. Batson, citation charging you with domestic violence criminal damage. When it occurred, it looks like on the 8th of June. But admit.
Okay, that part's not good.
Yes. Mr. Batson, your next court date is going to be July the 10th at 10 o'clock in the morning in the Marana City Court. You understand that you need to be present at that time?
I understand I need to be present. Will I have something in writing just as a reminder?
You will.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'll be released on your signature and promise to appear. No acts of domestic violence, no contact with Maria. You don't go back to the residence except with law enforcement to get your personal belongings. Your son Darell has said that you can stay with him. And you also need to work on getting behavioral health assessment and recommended treatment. Do you understand that?
I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Batson.
Thank you.
Evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you are?
Alexa Friday.
Citation charging you with domestic violence assault alleged occurred, looks like yesterday morning.
I was this morning.
Okay. Your next court date on these matters is going to be July the 11th at 8:30 in the morning in the Pima County Justice Court. Do you understand that you need to be present at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Conditions of release include no acts of domestic violence, no contact with Alvarado Pena. You don't go to his residence. You can go back to the residence with law enforcement escort to obtain your personal belongings. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Free.
Ms.
Ms. McAllister, if you please mute until I call on you. Okay. Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you, sir, are
Joseph Robert Hawks.
Mr. Hawks. I have a couple of warrants here for you. I've got one out of Marana for possession of paraphernalia, one with a couple of failures to appear. Appoint Janet Altschuler to represent you on these charges. Your next court date will be tomorrow at noon. Bond is $250. You do have an adult probation hold, so you're not going to go anywhere until that's resolved. Then we have a warrant out of Pima County Justice Court. Possession of paraphernalia and shoplifting. Your next court date on this will be at 9:30 tomorrow morning. Pima County Justice Court, Adam Waters will be appointed to represent you on these charges. Your bond is $2,499 on this matter. You're not to go to the incident location or again, possess any alcohol or illegal drugs. Thank you, Mr. Hawks.
I don't have to go back to that room, do I?
Yeah.
What?
I drove them up with, other ones so you can get the process.
Okay.
Higgins?
Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you, sir, are
Joshua Higgins.
Mr. Higgins. Citation here charging you with domestic violence assault. Alleged occurred, it looks like early this afternoon in the vicinity of your residence.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date on this matter is going to be Thursday, the 13th at 8:30 in the morning in the Green Valley Justice Court. You'll be released on your signature and promise to appear on certain other conditions. No alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no contact with the alleged victim in this matter. You don't return to the victim's residence or workplace except with law enforcement to pick up your personal belongings. And you need to see about getting into behavioral health and substance abuse assessments and treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Higgins.
Thank you.
Felix,
What happened to Tapia?
Tapia goods.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shea, and you are?
What's your name?
Michael Tapia.
Mr. Tapia. Indication of citation charging you with domestic violence, disorderly conduct. I believe your mother is on the line and wishes to be heard on this matter. Ms. Tapia, Ms. Fierros. You'll need to unmute.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. And did you wish to be heard just on conditions of release, not on facts of the case?
Correct.
So did you want continued contact?
Yeah, he is my son.
Okay. Any restrictions or suggestions in terms of conditions of release?
So, just so that way you're aware, Your Honor, he has these outbursts due to the fact that he's a drug user. He's been smoking fentanyl since 2021, and now it's gotten a little bit out of control. So when I ask him not to smoke it in my house, he feels like he doesn't have to abide by my rules. And I've had many conversations with him, and as an adult, I feel like sometimes consequences, he needs to understand that there's consequences when it's not his roof that he doesn't pay for. And then the other thing is that he just needs help. He needs help. He can come home, he just needs to be sober when he's gonna come here, and he can't be doing drugs in my house.
Okay. Your next court date is going to be June 25th at 10 o'clock in the morning. You'll be released on your signature and promise to appear. Conditions of release include no acts of domestic violence, no alcohol or illegal drugs, and you need to get into substance abuse assessment and treatment. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Tapia.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate your time.
Felix,
Good evening. I'm Judge Shea, and you are?
Anais Felix.
Ms. Felix. I have citation here that goes back to October of 2017. Criminal trespass at 755 East Benson Highway. Next court date on this is going to be July the 10th at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Because you've got the adult probation hold, I will appoint the city public defender's office to represent you so they can keep track of what's going on. If you are out of custody on July 10th, you need to appear in Tucson City Court. We'll take care, we'll deal with that and keep you posted. All right, thank you, Ms. Felix. Good evening, I'm Judge Hayden, and you, sir, are.
Darius Madden.
And has APO placed a hold on Mr. Madden?
No.
I'm going to appoint the City Public Defender's Office to represent you on these charges. Charges domestic violence assault, domestic violence disorderly conduct, and 2 counts of contributing to delinquency or dependency of minors. Looks like the contributing charge is from July 3rd of last year.
The minor charges, Judge?
Pardon me?
The minor
The con-
charges?
The contributing delinquency of minor charges, yes.
Okay.
Your next court date on all of these is going to be June 17th at 1:30. Bond is $1,500. In possess or consume no, 1,500. Possess or consume no alcohol, illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons, no contact with Alexandra. You don't go to her residence. If you resided together, then you can go back once with law enforcement to get your personal belongings. Thank you, Mr. Madden. Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you are?
Ricardo Anthony Martin.
Ricardo Menakeen.
Yes, ma'am.
Your next court date on these matters is going to be July the 18th at 9:30 in the morning in the Tucson City Court. Do you understand that you need to be present at that time?
I do.
Conditions of release, including, in addition to standard conditions, are no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence. You don't return to your father's residence except once with law enforcement to get your personal belongings. You also need to get into a substance abuse assessment and recommended treatment. Do you understand that?
I do.
Thank you, Mr. Monaghan.
McAllister,
Yes.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shane, and you are?
Bo McAllister.
Mr. McAllister, I have current citation charging you with violation of a court order, domestic violence. I also have charges for criminal trespass that go back to November of 2022. Failure to appear most recently on May 21st because you didn't comply with the terms of diversion. Ms. McAllister, you wish to be heard on conditions of release? There's an indication. Ms. McAllister, you're muted, and I need to determine who you are because we're.
Hold on. I'm touching one.
Sorry.
If you're on your phone, *6 should unmute you. Didn't it? All right, Kane McAllister, if you'll please unmute so that I can hear your input. If you can't unmute, then hang up and call right back in. In jail, has adult probation placed a hold?
Yes.
Hey, they need you to unmute or call back. They can't hear you.
No, not right now.
No,
No, it's Kane McAllister.
It's my
Ms.
wife.
McAllister, we can't hear you. Try doing *6 on your phone or hang up and call back in. And we'll let you back in, but we need to be able to hear you. Okay,
Can you hear me?
now I can hear you.
Good evening, Your Honor.
Okay, and you are,
My name is Kay. I'm Kuto or McAllister. I'm Bo's wife.
okay. Now you also have an order of protection that,
Correct.
okay,
My husband was on a medication when he was in jail. It's called quintempium fumarate. And when he came out, we tried to get him to see a psychiatrist, but they said we had to see a doctor first before we could see a psychiatrist to get him back on that medication. And I noticed his mental state went down when he wasn't on that meds, and we couldn't get him to see a doctor to get him back on that medication. So I don't know if there's any way you could help him get on that meds because it will make him feel better to see a psychiatrist. because he's not well.
Okay. But you understand that I cannot permit him to have contact with you as long as that order of protection is in effect.
Yes, I do understand that.
So where do I sleep tonight? Like, I don't,
Well, adult probation placed on hold. You're going to be there tonight. Right, your next court date is going to be on Monday at 1:30 in the afternoon. Your bond is $750. You commit no acts of domestic violence. You're not having contact with Kay. Do you understand that?
yes.
You're not to go to her residence. Out of custody, you need to obtain a behavioral health assessment and comply with recommended treatment. Right. Thank you, Mr. McAllister.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Judge Shade, and you are?
Reese.
London B or C? B or C.
Citation here charging you with domestic violence disorderly conduct alleged to have occurred earlier today. I see that you were also on monitored diversion for a previous charge, and you may have just lost your diversion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your next court date on these is going to be July the 23rd at 1:30 in the afternoon in the Tucson City Court. Do you understand that you need to be present at that time?
Yes.
You're not to commit any acts of domestic violence. You need to obtain a behavioral health assessment and begin any recommended treatment. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Reese.
Garcia.
Your Honor, there's multiple defendants in the courtroom.
Thank you for letting me know.
First,
Your Honor, the interpreter's on standby.
Gotcha. This is the person we need you for, so. I'm gonna address everyone in the courtroom for just a couple of minutes. I'm
Your Honor,
Judge.
does your Honor interpret in Spanish? Sorry, this is the interpreter again. Or, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Voy a dirigirme la palabra a todo el mundo que está aquí en la sala.
I'm Judge Shayat, and this is the time set for initial appearances.
Yo soy la juez Shea y esta es la hora fijada para lecturas de cargos. Y perdón, comparecencias iniciales.
If you have misdemeanor matters, it's also time for arraignment on those matters.
Y si tiene delito, algunas acusaciones de delito menor pendiente, también es la hora de lectura de cargos en cuanto a esos cargos.
It is not the time to talk about facts of cases or ask that charges be dismissed.
Esta no es la hora para hablar sobre los hechos del caso, ni tampoco para pedir que se descarten cargos.
Conditions of release will always include that you violate no laws,
Condiciones de libertad siempre incluirán esto de no estar en quebrantamiento de ninguna ley.
that you remain within the state of Arizona unless you receive permission of the court to leave the state,
Que se quede dentro del estado de Arizona a menos que reciba permiso del tribunal para salirse del estado.
that you violate no laws,
Que no esté en quebrantamiento de ninguna ley.
there may be additional conditions based on your history, your circumstances, and the events that occurred.
Puede que se vaya a determinar que hay algunas condiciones de libertad adicionales y eso se basa en su historia y los sucesos que se sucedieron, supuestamente.
I have an indication of a warrant here charging you with aggravated driving under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs.
Aquí tengo parece que es una orden de arresto acusándolo de haber manejado de forma agravante bajo la influencia de algún tipo de bebida alcohólica o algún tipo de droga.
These are alleged to have occurred on or about
Estas acusaciones
December the 6th of 2019.
y estos alegatos supuestamente sucedieron el 6 de diciembre de 2019.
We'll appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you on these charges.
Vamos a nombrar a la oficina del defensor público para representarnos en cuanto a estos casos.
Set an arraignment date for 1 week from today at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Fijar una cita para la lectura de cargo una semana de hoy a la 1:30 de la tarde.
Did either counsel wish to be heard on conditions?
¿Algún licenciado quería hablar sobre condiciones de libertad?
No, Judge, thank you so much.
No, señoría, muchas gracias.
And jail, the booking sheet indicates an arrest location of the jail's address. Was Mr. Garcia brought in by another agency?
Según la hoja de fichaje, fichaje indica que se hizo el arresto ahí en la dirección de la cárcel. Alguien más lo trajo para la cárcel.
Your Honor,
Yes.
he was a book to serve.
Interpreter did not hear that, Your Honor.
She said he was booked to serve.
He was a book to serve, and we have one of our COs serve his warrant.
A book deserve.
Booked to serve.
Ya. Se hizo el fichaje para hacer la entrega oficial y luego se hizo eso ahí en la cárcel.
So he was booked to serve time on another charge?
No, just the warrant, Your Honor.
Eso es porque había otro cargo, otra acusación.
Judge, I can shed some light if the court would like information.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Yo sí puedo explicar si quiere información.
Your Honor, Mr. Garcia informs me that he was returning to the United States from Mexico, and I believe Customs and Border Patrol agents saw the warrant and brought him straight to jail.
So it was another agency.
Se indican, estaba regresando a los Estados Unidos de México y parece que unos agentes de aduana y de la patrulla fronteriza vieron que había una orden de arresto y fueron ellos que lo trajeron para acá.
Then I am not inclined to follow pretrial's recommendations. So anything prior to, anything with regard to conditions.
No me inclino a seguir las recomendaciones de servicios previos al juicio.
So, Your Honor, I did talk to Mr. Garcia before court, and he did report to me that he has ties to the United States. He's a citizen.
Bueno, su señoría, para que usted sepa, acabo de hablar con el señor García antes de que se celebrara esta audiencia y él me reportó que sí tiene lazos fuertes aquí en Estados Unidos, que es ciudadano.
He changed addresses, Judge, and I believe this was in 2019 before the pandemic, and there were some delays with the mail, so he didn't receive proper notice. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. He did receive notice. Probably his mailbox got the letter, but it wasn't forwarded to him.
Muy bien, él sí cambió de dirección y y sucedió el incidente antes de la pandemia. Y como cambió de dirección, seguro lo que sucedió es que no se forwardeó su correo a la nueva dirección y por eso no tenía el aviso.
And because he was previously arrested and it was a DUI, so it was dismissed and refiled, he didn't know, Judge.
Y su señoría, como anteriormente lo habían arrestado y luego la fiscalía había.
But he only discovered the warrant after his trip, so we asked that you consider release at this time because he has stable housing in Tucson.
According to pretrial, he is homeless. We do not have stable housing.
I talked to him, Your Honor, and he can make arrangements for housing, is what he reports to me. So he will answer to these charges. It's just that, he's asking for one chance. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll slow down.
I'm way. If the interpreter just have 2 seconds, I'm way behind.
Yes, I apologize.
Mi cliente está diciéndome que sí, tiene un lugar donde puede vivir y luego la juez dice, no, según lo que estoy viendo, a él no tiene casa. Y luego el abogado responde, me acaba de informar que él sí puede hacer arreglos para encontrar casa. Okay.
Having a house and being able to make arrangements for one are two very different things.
Tener una casa y poder hacer arreglos para tener alguna vivienda son cosas muy distintas.
Bond is $2,500.
Fianza se fija en $2,500.
If the bond is posted, then you'll be under the supervision of pretrial services.
Y si se paga la fianza, entonces estará bajo la supervisión de servicios sobre a juicio.
No alcohol and illegal drugs, no driving without a valid license.
No se puede tomar alcohol ni tampoco usar drogas ilegales. No puede manejar sin una licencia válida.
Of course, appearing at all court dates and remaining in the state of Arizona.
Se ordena que comparezca para todas sus audiencias y que, claro, que se quede dentro del estado de Arizona.
Right, thank you. Mr. Garcia.
Muchas gracias, señor Garcia. Se puede retirar. Your Honor, this is the interpreter again. Interpreter thinks that there are no other Spanish.
That's correct. Thank you.
May I be? Okay, great.
Albert.
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shannon. You are?
Good evening, I'm Dominic Albert.
Mr. Albert, interim complaint charging you with robbery. That has occurred on about the 8th of June. We'll appoint a public defender's office to represent you on these charges, and either counsel wish to be heard on conditions.
Yes, please, Judge. So we understand that pretrial services is not recommending release. However, I suspect that's because he is getting an NVCA flag for some reason, the new violent activity flag.
The injury to the employee.
So, Judge, he's lived in Tucson for 14 years. He's employed as a baker. Your Honor, he's only 20 years old. He's relatively young with no felony history. We ask that you consider release, but if you're not inclined, we ask you to consider a $1,000 bond. Thank you.
Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
Preliminary hearing date will be June 21st at 1:30. Bond is $5,000. If you post the bond, you'll be a distributor of pretrial services. No alcohol. There must be no alcohol in your residence. You don't have contact with the alleged victims, and you don't go back to the Bashas' store. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Suggest you not discuss the matter with anyone except your attorney. Thank you, Mr. Albert.
Alvarado.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you are?
Hugo Alonso Alvarado.
Mr. Alvarado. Interim complaint charging you with theft of means of transportation and third-degree burglary. Will appoint public defender's office to represent you on these charges, and that either counsel wish to be heard on conditions.
Yes, please, Judge. Mr. Alvarado has lived in Tucson all his life. His sister is able to provide third-party custody and transport. He can live with her. Your Honor, he's employed full-time. He works as a home remodeler. For those reasons, we ask you to consider a $2,000 bond. Thank you.
Anything further from the state?
I just note he's got a lengthy criminal history, Judge, and he maxes out on both the FTA and NCA skills.
Preliminary hearing is June 21st at 1:30. Bond is $7,500 secured. If you post the bond, you'll be a distributor of pretrial services. Conditions of release include no contact with the alleged victims or your co-defendant except through legal counsel. I also have misdemeanor file here for you. Charges from February the 5th of this year for criminal trespass. 334 West Valencia, failure to appear. Your next court date on this is July 15th at 2:30. That will be set as a non-transport review if you are still in custody. If you are out of custody, you need to appear. While you are in custody, the City Public Defender's Office will be assigned to represent you on this matter. Thank you. And you're not to go back to 334 West Valencia. Right, thank you.
Gonzalez.
Ms. Gonzalez, interim complaint charging you with theft of means of transportation, third-degree burglary, and possession of narcotic drug for sale. We'll appoint legal defender's office to represent you on these charges. And did either council wish to be heard further on conditions?
No, Judge, thank you.
Preliminary hearing dates June 21st at 1:30 in the afternoon. You will be released to the third-party custody of pretrial services under their enhanced supervision program. That will include no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Behavioral health and substance abuse assessment and treatment. No contact with the alleged victims or your co-defendant except through legal counsel. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, I also have misdemeanor warrant, charges from February the 5th for criminal trespass at 334 West Valencia and then failing to appear in court. Your next court date on this is July the 15th at 2:30 in the afternoon. Conditions of release, no alcohol or illegal drugs. You don't go back to 334 West Valencia. And again, behavioral health and substance abuse assessment and treatment. Your attorney doesn't represent you on this charge. They tell you don't need to come to court. That's only June 21st. You still need to be in city court. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Paul?
Good evening, I'm Judge Shea, and you, sir, are?
Good evening, I'm Diego Hall.
Ms. Diego, your first name or your middle name?
My first name is Diego, my middle name is Nasir.
You have a complaint here charging you with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm. Will appoint public defender's office to represent you on these charges, and did either counsel wish to be heard on conditions?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Gant,
Judge, I'm asking for a $25,000 bond per my written recommendation. I'll just note this involved a weapon that he pointed at somebody and threatened to kill him.
Preliminary hearing date is going to be July the 1st at 1:30. You will be released to the third-party custody of pretrial services. You'll participate in monitoring and treatment under their supervision. No alcohol and the drugs, no firearms or weapons. If you have any other firearms, they need to be surrendered to Tucson police immediately. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Done by somebody else. Hold on.
There's to be no firearms in your residence or your vehicles. You're not to have contact with the alleged victims. You're not to go near their residence or workplace. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. Can I add something though?
Sure.
I live with my cousin and he legally owns firearms, so.
Not as long as you're living in the house. There's no firearms in that house. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
So you find someplace else to live, or he gets rid of the firearms while you are living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand that? All right,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you, sir, are?
Hi, Your Honor. My name is Henry Dean Kistel Jr.
Mr. Kist, I have an indication of warrant charging you with driving under the influence of intoxicating, aggravated driving under the influence of intoxicating liquor or drugs. Looks like these are alleged to have occurred on or about February 14th of 21, perhaps. Will appoint public defender's office to represent you on these charges. Set an arraignment date for June the 18th, 1:30, and did either counsel wish to be heard on conditions?
Oh, Your Honor, thank you.
You're going to be released to the third-party custody of pretrial services. No driving without a valid license, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Do you understand that?
Yes, I understand, Your Honor.
Participating in monitoring or treatment. And again, you need to appear at your court date, which is a week from today at 1:30 in Pima County Superior Court. Right? Thank you, Mr. Kista.
Thank you. Thank you.
Needs to be processed. Maybe needs to be processed. I don't know. Benjamin.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shade, and you are?
Benjamin Dwayne Knapp.
Mr. Knapp, enter complaint charging with possession of dangerous drugs and possession of paraphernalia. Will appoint public defender's office to represent you on these charges, and did either counsel wish to be heard on conditions?
No, Judge, we just asked for a smart court date. Thank you.
Mr. Knapp, it appears that you may be eligible to participate in a diversion program called STEPS that will require you to participate in a plan specific to your needs for a short period of time. You choose to participate and complete the program, these felony drug accusations in your arrest report will be permanently dismissed without you ever being formally charged. Are you interested in looking into that program?
Yes, Judge.
Is council willing to waive time for preliminary hearing?
Certainly, Judge.
July 30th at 1:30 for preliminary hearing. Your next court date, however, is a week from today, Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock in the Pima County Superior Court. Do you understand you need to be present at that time?
Yes, Judge.
And under the supervision of pretrial services, you will engage in behavioral health and substance abuse assessment and treatment. You understand that?
Yes, Judge.
And you don't go back to this incident location. Do you understand that?
Yes, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening, I'm Judge Shayad, and you are?
Tanya Valley.
Miss Valley. An interim complaint here charging with criminal damage. I'll appoint public defender's office to represent you on these charges, and that either counsel wish to be heard on conditions.
Your Honor, not on conditions, but I would like to consider the court to consider, ask the court to consider a request to dismiss for lack of probable cause. That is because the interim on page 2 specifically says staff was unable to provide a dollar value as to how much the water damage was. So Your Honor, given that there is no dollar value, we don't know if it's within the class 6 felony range. It's in the last few lines. For that reason, we ask you to dismiss without prejudice, and I understand the state can bring it back if it wishes to.
Mr. Gann.
Judge, I don't have anything to add to the probable cause complaint. It says what it says.
The extent of the damage noted. I think it's reasonable that the damage would be in excess of the minimum, so the motion is denied. You can be released to the third-party custody of pretrial services under their enhanced supervision program, where you participate in a behavioral health and a substance abuse assessment and treatment. No alcohol or illegal drugs. You do not return to the incident location. And your preliminary hearing date is July the 1st at 1:30. Thank you, Ms. Val.
You're being really stuck. You're being good.
I don't understand the conditions.
Let's talk to you afterwards. You'll get over it. Okay, all right. I guess that was the last one, Judge.
That was according to my records.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good night, Mr. Gams.
See you, Simeon.